I apologize, Bill, I didn't do a cheat sheet for you. I ran out of time today, but, and this will walk you through the closed session of when to
Yeah.
read into the record. That's the only one that actually is an anomaly on
And
this.
we'll
Otherwise,
push the closed session to the very end. Yes.
it's up to you.
Yeah, okay. All righty then. I'm going to call the
The regular.
28th, right?
28th.
I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District for April 28th, 2025 to order. So one. Roll call, please.
Director Martinson,
Here.
Director Berg,
Here.
Director Quillisi,
Here.
and Vice Chair Ulrich.
Here.
And then we have Director Kentosh absent and Director Curtis absent. And then just reminding for the record that Director Stone resigned effective April 21st, 2025.
The seat is vacant.
Very good. All right, in that case, then let's do Pledge of Allegiance. Ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, do we have any additions or amendments to the agenda? Public concerns, not items not on the agenda?
No public?
Okay, no.
No pre-meeting emails or anything of that sort.
In that case, then let's go to the consent items. Have 6, 7, and 8. Any comments or we? Well,
I'd like to move for approval of consent items 6, 7, and 8.
Second that.
Director Martinson,
Yay.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Ulrich.
Found 7 kind of interesting because it's an ADU. That was before the Ojai Planning Commission well over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Sounds like they're just getting hooked up now.
I believe that one was a violation. Was resolved.
Oh, okay.
even better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, action items, number 9, final budget fiscal year 2025-26, adoption. The item is to adopt the presented final budget for the fiscal year 2025-26 that includes a 4% increase in the service charge rate. Have
Move approval of 9A through F.
Second.
Wilson?
Director Martinson,
I thought I had a question about this, and I can't remember. Okay, no question. Yeah, I'm in favor, yes. Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Ulrich.
Yes. All right, item 10, UWTP fine screen replacement project construction contract with GSE Construction, budget adjustment 2025-22. Items A through C. Do you have questions or discussion?
We finished the engineering of this project. Now just talking about building it.
Yeah, design was complete on time. We went out to bid in February, opened in March, review bids, and we're here to award in April. We got 2 bids from 2 reputable contractors. We also have some support services from the engineering team during construction, including, if there are RFI from the contractor during construction. And then some of the submittals will be reviewed solely in-house and some will require their expertise. In particular, EI&C is not our ground. We're mostly civil engineers here, so things like that we'll have them take a look at.
When we need uncivil engineers, we bring them in.
Plus record drawings.
uncivil.
Where did the bid land relative to design cost and
We always have two costs. We have one from the engineer, one from staff, and it was pretty in line with staff's original estimate late future years ago. The engineer's estimate was a little bit higher. But it really is a fairly simple construction project. We're pulling out the fine screen and we're putting in a new one with some new INC and some other ancillary work. So I'm not surprised by I thought the costs were in line with the.
so we kind of landed in between?
Yes.
I was also happy to see that the design firm, which is in here for additional work now, they underran the design 68,000. So they said, let's just apply that 68,000 to the next task, which was more than 68,000. So they basically gave back that underrun, do the additional work.
Is equitable?
My first question was this a firm fixed price contract? Is it T&M? If it was T&M, it's proper that they would give the money back or never charge it.
It's a running contract, T&M, they bill us for the hours that they invoice for. And so we're just doing a change order to that existing contract. The Delta required their estimate for construction phase services plus record drawings. So that's 68,000, not as much of a credit, but they get to then bill against that plus their extra amount that we're doing the change order for this next phase. Yeah, and we've been happy with HDR as well. Very communicative and kept the design on time. We love it. It's also helped with that. There's a lot of pre-design for us, which ends up saving us money. And then we kept the design fairly simple. We didn't overcomplicate it. We're removing a screen and we're putting a screen in. So it's only like 20 sheets.
Okay. I'll move approval of 10A through D.
I'm gonna have to on that. A second.
Director Martinson,
Yay.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Wiltie,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Ord.
Okay, I would like to close session item 11 at the end of the agenda and move on to 12. All right. So, monthly financial reports. Questions or comments?
Things look well managed.
The investment report. Your comments? Okay. Staff reports, operations, administration, and management.
Thank Sean and all of his underlings again for good explanations and good pictures. Helps me understand what's going on down there at the plant. It's no mean feat.
There's a lot going on.
Helping me understand.
Committee reports, finance committee minutes, and ordinance committee minutes. Right. Reports on meetings, seminars, or conferences attended. Did anything? So. Items of interest, correspondence, and articles.
None.
Board member and general manager comment.
As will become, or perhaps general manager speaks. I've spoken with Allison about this. We have a potential problem for June 16th. Going to be out of town. Grandson's high school graduation. I spoke, that's topic one is the problem with the meeting. We need to have 4 people here in seats. Once that's done, under the old Brown Act, the other 2 attend remotely, provided their stations as alternate venues for the meeting. Invite the public in, join the meeting at that venue.
Sign on the door.
Post a copy of the agenda on the door, invite the public in. I've spoken with Jack about that. He will be happy to do that, but we may need to get him to come here on the 16th. Lowell is not here.
Is an option to move that a few days?
There is not an option for that. So from the date of the postmark of the 218 mailing, which cannot go out until after this meeting. So the mailing house will, given the go-ahead, they've done all the pre-prep work they possibly can in advance of this meeting. So sorting the mailing list, getting everything ready. They have a draft of the 218 notice. They will be given the go-ahead to mail that. They must have it postmarked by Friday, which is May 2nd. It will take them every bit of that to possibly get it done one day in advance. It must be,
1,000 letters.
well, it's actually far more than that. 15 to 16,000 letters. And there must be 45 days before the adoption of the rate ordinance. And from May 2nd to June 16th is exactly 45 days. And then from June 16th to June 30th, day prior to July 1st effective date of the rate ordinance, we must publish for 7 consecutive days in the paper. And so that would be from June 23rd, the 30th. The deadline to publication is June 18th. So you can see that I have very little leeway after the June 16th meeting to notify the VC Star. And so there is literally a 24-hour sort of buffer for error in the schedule that already exists.
And that wouldn't need of
Yeah, I will turn on the 18th today.
that would push it things a week ahead, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Director Martinson.
Have a family member who's just been diagnosed with cancer, so I may have to go back to. Since he's 91. Won't know till next week what the schedule's gonna be. It's, in this instance, I have other family members. I don't know their schedules from different states, so it's possible I could an effort to be here. Can't, because I understand the importance of you just described as we do it then or we don't do it. It's kind of.
I mean, reality of the situation is that we don't stick to this exact schedule. The budget will not be adopted on time. We will miss tax roll submission. We will have to hire a company to direct bill every single one of our customers.
It's expensive.
And there'll be collection,
Unless,
cash flow issues, et cetera.
And that's either way, that's irregardless of the rating.
Well, well,
we fail to adopt it in a timely manner,
I guess,
there would be no rate increase.
because technically speaking, if you didn't increase the rates, if you revisited the budget with no rate increase, you would have no need for a 218 hearing. And so some of those be not relevant. That is it. Yes, that's a correct statement.
Already passed it.
I have a question. Is Dennis here?
Going to be here.
Yeah. Hello, I'm
Dennis.
here. I just phoned in. I caught the last couple minutes of your conversation.
We were able to increase the number of directors by appointing a director for Division 1. Solve anything?
I mean, I suppose you
If we
could.
found someone and that person showed up, It'd be a lot easier to have 4 in seats here.
We need a Division I.
Dennis, can you,
Yes.
can you speak to exactly what process is required for full disclosure and opportunity to have an appointment to that?
Yeah, so you're talking about the possibility of getting someone appointed fairly quickly before that next
In District 1.
hearing. Yeah.
Month or so.
So there's only, I think it was a 15-day. I mean, if you want to do the bare statutory minimum, it required posting the vacancy. I think in 3 public locations within the district. And I believe sorry, I'm in my car right now, but I believe it was only like a 15-day notice period, but I could double check that, or I don't know, Allison, if you recall, I think I sent you and
I think
Scott a
that
memo.
sounds accurate. Dennis actually prepared a memo, sort of as a guideline, and the executive committee was going to meet, and so we can review that. But I believe you are correct that it was 15 days.
Yeah, I think it was 15 days. And then, a lot of districts go beyond that and will, of course, stick it on their website or maybe put an ad out in a local paper. However, none of that is required. So if we were in a bind, we could definitely do the bare minimum, post it for 15 days. And if you guys if there's someone maybe we know that is already interested, we could probably accelerate this process and get them appointed. I guess that is one option if one of the other directors is unable to make it, so that we have the 4-person quorum.
Although that even sounds awfully tight.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's basically a 4-year term. Sure, we have time to interview, select. I think the best thing is just me needs to figure out how to adjust my schedule to
And
be here.
see what the chances are of putting Jack in that seat.
Well, that's the other thing I'm worried about, because if Tosh doesn't show up and Jack doesn't show up, matter if I'm here or not. So
Kintosh has not yet responded to my inquiry.
we may have more than one problem, is what I'm saying.
He's scheduled to be back, but I don't know what else is going on that impact his June schedule.
Well, it sounds like we'll know more at the end of next week. And in the meantime, we probably ought to go ahead and gather a flyer, notices or whatever, so we can start seeking a new district.
Get hold of Bill Stone. I thought someone had intimated that Bill thought he knew of someone who
He
could.
told me that he
Good
could be somebody that he thought would be a good fit. He didn't know if they were interested. Was the kicker on that. So, but I've got Bill's phone number. I can call him.
Get him here and
I'll call Bill and just ask him.
It's prudent also to Jack and see if he knows of any
in District 1.
in their district.
Yeah, well,
Not knowing what his plans are still.
my first issue was the meeting itself. Second was, and I talked to Dennis about this today, and I've talked to Jack about this today. Under the original Brown Act, you can attend remotely because there's a quorum in place. You post the agenda, invite the public in. Jack, first of all, thought that his seat was going to be vacant because he had missed several meetings. Different for elected officials than it is for appointed. So still has the district 4 feet, yes it is. He seemed very motivated to attend remotely.
Doesn't solve our.
That doesn't solve the meeting problem. Would get us another person back
Here
here.
isn't the meeting that's the issue. It's the budget that's the issue.
Yeah.
So our resolved ordinance at this point involves 3 folks. Dr. Kintosh, Director Martin, Director Curtis. I'm gonna figure your, no way,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
whatever the adjustment, it would be insufficient to make this.
We
So,
can't do things early enough
right. I mean,
before I leave or after I come in.
so you're going to unfortunately have to stay your own course. So, okay, so at this point, matters will ideally be resolved.
I'll talk to
Have
Jack.
some scamper in here.
I'll talk to Jack about June 16th also.
I will, update everybody as I hear something.
You may find that there's more wiggle room this week. Oh, sometimes these things are.
Wiggle room with moving bodies around,
Yeah,
not
I don't-
moving the calendar.
The protocol, I don't think there's any latitude in besides a day or so at this point. Okay, so is there anything else then, relative to the, any general manager comments, Scott?
Yeah, I had a couple comments. You guys can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Okay. I have a little bit to report on the state of the TMDL filter. We're expecting a report from the biologist this week. And at the same time, Stantec is going to be looking into it. I've spoken with Stantec and they're interested in coming and presenting to the board in May and kind of give us their expert opinion of what's going on and why. Along the same lines, but related to the collection system, I heard and staff heard Director Martinson's comments to look into the collection system and do a risk analysis. Well, that's something that we're formulating right now. For us, what that means is we're going to start with addressing the trunk lines in their manholes. We're also going to be looking at some of the local lines in their manholes. So we have a rating system that runs from 1 through 5. We're going to be looking at 3s and 4s. We have no 5s because if we have a 5, it gets immediately remedied. I also want to let you know that there's been some community outreach. I mentioned that we will be attending Ojai Day in October. Along the same lines, I reached out to the city of Ojai, who put me in contact with Caltrans. Caltrans is going to be resurfacing Highway 33 northeast of Highway 150. So it's the section of 33 in front of Pyrie, which is also Nordoff in that area. We have a hotspot in there that we clean monthly, and we're going to take a look at the feasibility of if there's a project in there that we could perhaps remedy that hotspot and get that done before Caltrans does their work. Liz, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was in August of 27 is when they're going to redo that. Was that correct? Do you remember?
Yeah, something in 27.
Yeah,
Manhole
August.
right in the middle of the one remaining traffic lane.
Yes.
Spent a pile of money repainting and all that, and now they're gonna dig it all up.
That's it for my comments, unless you have any pertinent questions.
Okay, could you please define the term of art hotspot?
So a hotspot, it's I'm sure there's a CPI requirement for it. For us, it's something where solids settle out. So this particular area, my understanding is there's a sag in the pipe. So the pipe dips down, it goes under a storm drain line. The sag was installed by Caltrans, is my understanding, in around 1967. So it's kind of a mini siphon. The problem with this particular one is it's constructed with some 45s and it doesn't allow us to get our jetter or our camera through there. So what we would do this particular one is first take a look at it, see if we can catch grade, and if we could go back down slope a little bit and try to straight grade it, take out the 45s or make a large radius bend, something of that nature, so we can at least get our jetter through there. And the intent being is to try to eliminate the monthly need for maintenance.
Okay, so actually a built-in deflection.
Yes.
So having said that, in order to straighten that out and get grade from both sides, that sounds like a lot of surgery.
Yeah, we're going to be going downstream, and just how far downstream we don't know yet. So that's part of the engineering design. We may look at it, and it may be cost prohibitive, right? So it's an analysis of how much do we spend on a monthly basis to clean this thing versus what's the cost to construct a remedy.
Other,
Timers will tell you that sewer went in, we were along a ditch. Just a few years later, they extended the pavement and put in the storm drain there. It's a large one. I think it's a 36 cm.
yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so at this point, I'm going to adjourn the public meeting and we will go into closed session. So, adjourning the public meeting at 6:26. We're closed the closed session and we're back into public open session at 6:38. With no reportable action. Closed session. Okay. Now I'm going to close the open public session at 6:39.